Hi guys, how are you all doing? I hope you guys are all good. This is the Tennis World with the Tennis Expert, and I am your tennis expert. I want to preview the 2024 semi-finals of the French Open. We're going to start off with the big one. Alcaraz and Sinner won their semi-finals in straight sets. I just think this is going to be like a huge semi-final here because this is the start of a new era. I just think like we had the Sampras Agassi era. They got too old. People were sad. People said we won't watch tennis again. And then they got something even better in Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. Now people are like that. Nadal's gone. Federer's gone. Nadal looks like he may not be able to win, and Djokovic too. So they're the very end of their career, and Federer's gone, right, guys? But like, even though they've played 8 times each, Sinner and Alcaraz, and they've won 4 matches each, I just think like this is like now their start of their dominance period. Like most players start their dominance peak period of their career at 22. So Sinner's 22, Alcaraz is 21, right? But because Alcaraz started winning Grand Slams so early at 19, I think we can say he's starting a year earlier. So I really think now is the start of both of their peaks, and we're going to see a Federer, Nadal, Djokovic type dominance. Sinner only became who he was at the end of last year when he beat Djokovic 2 out of 3 times in the top 8 and the Davis Cup, and then through to the Australian Open, beating Djokovic at his best Grand Slam, making it 3 out of 4 wins. And ever since then, Sinner's been dominating at that top tier, like he's at Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic level at their peak. Whereas Sinner's like already got Alcaraz has already got 2 Grand Slams and been winning since he was 19. Now he's 21. So I really think now is Sinner getting a Grand Slam behind his belt. Now with Alcaraz having 2, but Sinner being more dominant, and it's their first Grand Slam meeting now that they've both got Grand Slam wins behind them. I think this is the start of their peak. Most of the Grand Slams are going to be about matches between these two. Yes, there might be where one of them, it's about them and Djokovic and to decide it 1 or 2 more times. But overall, over the next 10 or 15 years, these 2 guys are going to dominate. And this is their first Grand Slam match now that they're both dominant and they're both won Grand Slams. And like I said, 22 is when the peak starts. And I think we just say 1 year early at 21 for Alcaraz because he's won so early. But I think their peak is starting now for the next 10 to 15 years for both of them. So it's going to be like a great match. It's going to be like the start of a new era. And firstly, I just want to say how I see their matchup on all courts. Sinner's game, I think, is more like Federer's, where like he's got to serve the level of Federer, attacking game like Federer, but he's not like those big hitter power guys, has to go for the line, has to end the point. He's aggressive, but a bit of patience. The main difference between him and Federer is like Federer was strong on the forehand and poor at the backhand. He's strong on both, but maybe a bit stronger at the backhand. So in terms of that, having a better backhand, but very strong on both backhand and forehand, that's more like Djokovic. But the attacking play and the defensive level, everything else is more like Federer. So I guess that's more like Federer's biggest problem against Nadal and Djokovic was they targeted his backhand, a weakness. But like Djokovic, Sinner doesn't have that. So he's more like Federer without that backhand weakness, right? And then so he's sort of a combination of Djokovic and Federer, but it's more like Federer other than the fact that like the backhand and the forehand. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like being good on both wings, but a bit better on the backhand. Whereas Alcaraz is more like a combination of Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. He's got the defense like Nadal and Djokovic. He's got like the forehand of Nadal. He's got the backhand of Djokovic. He's got the net play of even Federer, maybe even Pete Sampras, and likes to attack very early in the point and come to the net and finish like Federer. So these 2 guys could even be an enhanced version of the big 3. And like I said, they've played before, but their peak period starting now. This is the first big match in the peak. We saw a match 2 years ago when neither of them had won a Grand Slam. the US Open quarterfinals, 5 hours. Firstly, this will be much better because they're both much better players. They're at their peak, right? Secondly, this will be a better match, not just because they're at their peak, because on clay is where you get the longest possible rallies. So you want long, amazing rallies. You want it to be on clay. And best of 5 sets gives you the longest match. So if clay is the surface of the longest rallies, and best of 5 will give you the longest rally, you want best of 5 on clay. That can only happen here. So again, and then to play this long, grueling match with long rallies, you need to be physically in the right state. They're both young at their peak, 21 and 22, and none of them had long matches. And they've had 2 days off before this match while being young. So they're ready to go at it. Clay's going to give the longest rallies. It's going to happen for 5 sets. And like I said, these two guys are going to be doing it in their peak. You understand what I'm saying, guys? At their peak. So they're dominating. And first of all, I just want to say, when you look at this matchup between these two guys, I would say I'll favor Sinner at the Australian Open and Wimbledon because, like I said, even though he's got the backhand and forehand both strong like Djokovic, the attacking player, he's more like that. He's got a better serve than Alcaraz, more attacking, more shortening points, but less for the slower serves, like long, ruling rallies. His defense is good and his speed, but it's not like on a Nadal, Djokovic, Alcaraz on his peak. Do you get what I'm saying? So he will suit faster surfaces where he can use his serve and attacking game and shorten points and rush Alcaraz. That's why I favor him at Wimbledon and the Australian Open. But on a slower court, I favor Alcaraz because then the defense, like he's so fast, his defensive game becomes a wall. It's so hard to get past him. But then when you've got a slow court and the balls are slowed down and he gets even more time, he now becomes a wall. And that thing about like it's a slow court, I'm very fast, you can't get it past me. There's these long, grueling rallies about turning defense into attack. That's an advantage for Alcaraz, right, guys? Then the other thing is, like, you need like a one big shot to have time to finish off the points, to just hit through a slow court and finish points and even get through a fast defender. Alcaraz has that one big shot, that huge forehand to be able to hit through any court on any defender. So on the slow court, him having that one big weapon, a forehand that's bigger than any of Sinner's shots. And then in the long rallies, it's about defense, turning defense into offense, saying you can't get through this slow court and my speed. He's better at defensively. So his attributes are on clay. It suits them. Whereas Sinner's saying the attacking game, the serve, they're all taken away on clay. Do you get what I'm saying? And the US Open is more to the slower side. So I would say for the same reasons as clay, Alcaraz would suit and be better than Sinner in their rivalry at the US Open and the French Open. And then Sinner will be better at Wimbledon, the Australian Open, like Nadal. Why? Because of the defense and the speed and the big forehand to hit through a slow court and finish points. That's what made him so good on clay and the topspin. Alcaraz has those same attributes, right? Whereas a lot of the Federer attributes and a bit of the Djokovic ones are good at the Australian Open and Wimbledon. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But Sinner's serve and attacking game is now limited. Alcaraz defense and speed, like you can't get past him, and it's even harder on clay. And then when you need that one big weapon to get through the court, Alcaraz has that. And the other thing, he has a big swing on the forehand. So you want to try to rush Alcaraz to take away his forehand, right? Serve big, rush him, go for it. But the problem is on a clay court, it's slower. It's much harder to rush him on the forehand. He's going to have time to set up. And when he has that time, he has that really big weapon to get through the court and finish points, more than what Sinner has. And you can rely more on that weapon, has time to run around the backhand on the slower court, and you can't rush him because it's a slow court. So he's going to have that time to set up and the big weapon. And then when it comes down to long rallies, trying to finish the point through the slow clay court, he's going to make it harder to do that by being better defense. And Sinner's attacking game and serve is taken away by the slower surface. And also Alcaraz hits more of topspin. So as well as slower, it's a higher bouncing court, right? So for these reasons, I would say overall, at the US Open and the French Open will suit Alcaraz, but the French Open will suit him the most to play Sinner of all the Grand Slams because he's having that big weapon to finish the point and his speed and defense and taking away Sinner's serve and attacking games. And also the top spin, high bounce for Alcaraz. Everything accentuates Alcaraz on a clay court and hurts Sinner. So I will say, for those reasons, I'm going to predict Sinner, but they're very close. They're playing at an elite level. But there's the better defensively on this court and the big forehand to finish points. Those two things, while taking away Sinner's attacking game, shortening points, and serve. Those are why I'm going to go for Alcaraz, but in 5 sets. A tough game. But I think Sinner won't have the biggest weapons to get through this clay court and finish points. It's going to be harder to do it for him anyway. And against the fastest defender, it's going to be harder. Whereas when Alcaraz does it, he has this huge weapon that can get through any court and any defender. But yes, Sinner's fast, but not as fast as him. So when you've got the bigger weapon on the forehand to finish points and a defender that's not the fastest, it's easier for him to finish points. Whereas Sinner, that doesn't have that bigger weapon, has to go for a much faster defender, and that defender has more time to get to balls on the clay courts. So for those two reasons, why Nadal's successful, speed, defense, and the big forehand to finish points, and the top spin to get it high up, that's why these things on this court will suit Alcaraz. The other thing, if they go for a long grinding match, which I think they are, Sinner's injuries was worse and more closer to the French Open. In his last match, he grabbed that area around the back or side or wherever it was. I can't remember now. But I'm saying, yeah, he might be okay. But then 5 hours, we don't know how he will get through that too. But it's going to be a great match. But because of the speed, the defense, and the forehand, and that's suiting the clay, and then the clay limiting Sinner's attacking game and serve. For that reason, I'm going to say Sinner's going to get just over the line. And one big thing, Sinner's going to try to get the ball fast through the court, rush Alcaraz on the forehand, not give him time to set up. Because of the slower clay court, it'll be hard to rush him, and he'll have the time to set up. So for that reason, for the speed and defense of Alcaraz and the forehand, and Sinner's serve and attacking game being limited. So it's just going to be Alcaraz over Sinner in 5 sets, but it's going to be one of the great matches we've seen. Second semi-final, Casper Ruud, Alexander Zverev. These guys, again, they're on the same level like Alcaraz Sinner, but they're playing at a much lower level than Alcaraz Sinner, but they're probably just as equal. So I think this is going to go 5 sets. I saw like Nadal was playing far from his best. He was a few points away from 1 set all. It looked like Zverev was going to be in trouble. Looked like he was going to panic. I think Ruud is playing better than him now, doing the same thing with the defense and the big forehand to finish points. But his match fitness, he's younger, he's doing it better. And then even de Minaur playing that consistent rally game, not missing, having speed, saying you can't get through my defense. But the one thing, and then de Minaur was a few points away from being 1 set all in this match. But the one thing that he was missing is if you could have that consistency, that good rallying ability, that defense would say you can't get past me, but he was just missing have a bit of power to finish points. If he just had a bit more power, he definitely would have been at 1 set all and then would have probably ran away with it. Well, Ruud can match what de Minaur did to Zverev with the defense, with the speed, with the I won't miss thing, but saying I'm just so close, but if I just had a bit more power to finish points, Ruud has that on the forehand, and he's going to have time to set up on the forehand. So he's going to do everything de Minaur did, speed, defense, long rallies, not missing, but then de Minaur just needed a bit more power to finish points. De Minaur was either going for the lines to try to finish points because he doesn't have the power, it's not really his game, or just playing consistently and letting Zverev push him around. Whereas Ruud does everything de Minaur does, but de Minaur needed that consistent power more to get through the court and finish points. If not, he could have ran away with it. And Ruud does all the speed, the defense, the good rallies that I won't miss, but that little extra power to finish points de Minaur does, Ruud has that on the forehand. So for that reason, I think it's going to be very close, but that just gets Ruud over the line, and Casper Ruud wins this in 5 sets. So 2 5-setter, Casper Ruud takes down Zverev in 5 sets, and Alcaraz takes down Sinner in 5 sets. So I'm saying it'll be a Casper Ruud, Carlos Alcaraz 2024 French Open final. That's my video for today. Be back in a couple of days on like Saturday. I'll preview the final. But I'm saying that final will be Carlos Alcaraz, Casper Ruud. So be back for my preview of that. But subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Have a great day, night, wherever you are in the world. And please be back for my final preview, which I'm saying is going to be Casper Ruud, Carlos Alcaraz. But we'll see. We'll watch the semifinals and come back for my final preview. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon. Subscribe and be back for my final preview in a couple of days. Bye for now, guys. Thanks for being with me.